Hi guys, it's Karl from Searcharoo here, and I'm with the legendary Dooley, one of my business partners and very close friends. And today we're going to go through what is what is macro and what is micro content in the context of search semantics and everything SEO. And this is something that was recently brought to light by the legendary Koray. And something that me, Scott, and Dooley have been delving into quite deeply with a lot of our websites and trying to, upskill the team, our internal content teams and things. So, Dooley, from your perspective, what is macro content?
So macro content is content higher up the page, the main body of the content that's higher up the page. And then you've got the micro content, which is the supplementary content, which is kind of the secondary content that supports the macro content. So prior to doing Koray's course and understanding properly semantics and semantic content networks, I used to always understand that there was more weight to words and topics and stuff higher up the page than lower down the page, but I never really understood why that is. I always thought it was to do with what was the reasonable surfer painting, which was mainly to do with links. So the more likeliness of people seeing and clicking on the link higher up the page. And I always thought it was to do with that. I never heard the terminology of macro versus micro content. It certainly has helped our team semantically in understanding that the positioning of H2s on a page is very, very important. So hats off to Koray, you legend, for educating us on that matter. So can you expand a little bit with regards to the macro versus micro?
Yeah, so macros, obviously, when you're looking at we did a video previously on the source context, the whole page has to be all around the source context, but the macro content of the page will be very specific to the source context that you have in mind. Source context being like if you're a horse racing betting site, your source context is going to be ideally targeted towards, gamblers who are looking to bet on horses. So that macro content is going to be super specific. But then the micro content might be a little less specific. So it could go into, rather than just horse racing, you might go down the route of other things that people can do at that betting establishment if the post is about betting. And then a very important part that I know Koray mentions a lot is the micro content is often for the internal linking, where because it's a lot less specific to the macro, you internally link off to the other bits of content that might become a macro in that piece, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas that, in my head, that's pretty an amazing concept, because previously you'd kind of just say, well, this section's related to such and such, so I'm going to just link off. Whereas what Koray pushes is you basically shouldn't really link off at all internally within your macro piece. It should all be, obviously in links are different. So if you're using a table of contents, that's fine because you're still on the same page, but you shouldn't be internally linking to another page within the macro of the content.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he uses like certain things like contextual flow in making certain that it flows down the page from the macro. Still makes sense. The supplementary content in the micro content is still very relevant to the page, but starts slightly going off a little bit off topic, which allows you then to say, for more information about this, go and check out this page. And for more information about that, go and check this page. So we used to always do quite a lot of internal linking in the macro content. And now we've started to change this to Koray's methods.
So one way to think about it would be, is there used to be, or there probably still is, tools out there that do like word clouds and connections from entities. So if your macro content is all about horse racing and gambling, if you were to select that, it will show you other elements that are less related but are still connected. And that's almost those elements that would then go into the micro piece. So you could start to go off into those elements in the micro.
Yeah, for sure. So anyone who's watching this, have you done Koray's course? Do you understand what the macro versus micro content is? Do you specifically make certain that when you're doing your content outlines that you're putting it in the most relevant or the highest search volume headers towards the top that's most relevant to the primary topic of the page? Leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know. Is there any other little additional tricks and tips that you're doing to do with the macro and micro content to do with semantic SEO?